I used to think the right haircut couldn't do much for me after 50, that it was mostly genetics and makeup carrying the load. I was wrong. And I found that out the embarrassing way, in a salon mirror, staring at a cut that made me look tired even on a good day. The truth is the shape of your hair sits right next to your face all day, every day, and it either lifts everything up or drags everything down. Today I'm walking you through 5 haircuts that genuinely soften the years on thick, wavy hair. Not gimmicks, real cuts your stylist can do this week. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The long layered shag that rescues thick, wavy hair. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. The more hair you have, the more it can actually work against you after 50, not for you. Thick, wavy hair holds on to weight at the bottom the way nothing else does. And that bottom heavy weight is exactly what pulls a face downward. You've felt it. The ends look like they're tugging at your jawline instead of framing it. That's not your face changing. That's the cut fighting your texture instead of working with it. Most women with thick wavy hair get told to just blend it out. And that's the mistake. Blending without real layering leaves a solid, heavy triangle shape, and a triangle shape reads as older because it has nowhere for light or movement to happen. Your eye needs somewhere to land, and right now it's landing on a wall of hair. The fix is a long layered shag. And I mean a real one cut in long, feathered sections starting around cheekbone height and moving all the way down. This isn't the choppy, short shag from 20 years ago. It's longer, softer, and built specifically for wave, because wave needs layers to actually show its shape instead of collapsing into one dense mass. Ask your stylist for face framing layers starting at the cheekbone, feathered through the ends, keeping length. That phrase matters. It tells them you want movement, not just thinning shears randomly taken to the bottom. Here's why it works on wavy hair specifically. Waves need separation to read as waves at all. When hair is one solid length, the wave pattern fights itself and clumps into shapeless sections. Once you introduce layers, each section of wave gets room to curl independently, catch light differently, and create the kind of soft movement that reads as effortless rather than heavy. The result is hair that looks lighter even though you haven't cut off much length at all. Some women keep almost all their length and still see a dramatic difference, because it's the layering doing the work, not the inches. There's a real snapback moment women describe after this cut, and it's almost always the same one. People stop commenting on how tired they look and start commenting on their eyes. That's not a coincidence. When the weight comes off the lower half of the hair, the eye naturally travels upward on its own, toward your face instead of past it. You're not doing anything different with makeup or lighting. The hair is simply no longer competing with your features for attention. It's finally framing them. This cut also grows out beautifully, which matters more than people think after 50. A cut that only looks good for 2 weeks means constant salon trips and constant awkward in-between phases. Long layers grow into more long layers. The shape holds its intention even a few months out, which is part of why stylists reach for it again and again for thick wavy hair specifically. It's low maintenance in the exact way high maintenance hair usually isn't. One more thing worth saying honestly, this cut is not about chasing a younger version of yourself. It's about letting the hair you actually have right now do what it's naturally built to do. Thick wavy hair has movement built into it already. Most of us have just been cutting that movement away by accident for years, flattening it into one dense shape, because nobody explained what layering wave actually requires. So here's the swap. Before, a heavy blunt-bottomed shape that pulls the whole face down and reads as one solid mass instead of texture. After, long feathered layers starting at the cheekbone that let the wave pattern actually show itself, lift the eye upward, and soften the jawline without cutting off length. But the shag isn't the only cut that can trick thick, wavy hair into working for you instead of against you. And the next one solves a completely different problem. One that shows up the second you catch your reflection in a store window instead of a mirror at home. Part 2. The curved bob that fixes what store windows reveal. You know that moment when you catch yourself in a store window, not a mirror, and something looks off in a way you can't quite name? For thick wavy hair past a certain length, that off feeling usually has a name. It's width. Hair that's dense and wavy tends to expand outward as it gets past shoulder length, especially in humidity or later in the day, and that outward expansion adds visual width right at eye level, exactly where you don't want it. This is the mistake almost nobody flags directly, because it sounds like it's about length when it's actually about shape. Long, thick, wavy hair without an intentional outer line doesn't hang, it billows. And billowing hair, however pretty in the moment, reads as bulk rather than volume, which ages a face by making it look smaller and squeezed inside all that hair. The fix is a curved bob, specifically one cut slightly longer in the front, curving up toward the back, landing somewhere between the chin and the collarbone. This shape does something the shag can't. It gives thick wavy hair a defined outer edge instead of letting it expand freely. Ask for a curved bob, longer at the front corners, graduated shorter at the back, with the ends left slightly textured, not blunt. That last detail is important on wave. A completely blunt bob edge on thick wavy hair can look heavy and stiff, but a slightly textured edge lets the natural wave still show through the shape. The curve is doing quiet, specific work. Instead of the hair falling straight down and adding width as it goes, the curved line pulls the eye along a diagonal, up toward the cheekbone and jaw rather than out toward the shoulders. It's the same principle stylists use in tailoring. A diagonal line reads as narrower and more lifted than a straight one, even when the actual volume of hair hasn't changed much at all. You're not fighting the thickness, you're giving it a border. The snapback here is specific, and it's one I hear constantly. Women say people start guessing their age lower, sometimes by a real margin, and almost every time they trace it back to the same comment. Your face just looks smaller. That's the curved line working exactly as intended. It's not that your face changed shape. It's that the hair around it stopped adding visual width and started adding definition instead. There's a texture note worth knowing if your hair is genuinely thick, not just wavy but dense underneath too. Ask your stylist to thin the interior weight before finalizing the curve, not the outer line. If they thin the outer edge, you lose the very shape that's doing the work. The thinning needs to happen underneath, invisible, so the curve on the surface stays crisp and intentional, while the bulk underneath it gets lighter to hold that curve without pulling it flat by the end of the day. This cut also photographs differently than most people expect. Because the line is diagonal rather than straight across, it holds its shape from multiple angles, not just the front-facing mirror angle most of us judge a haircut by. That matters more than it sounds like it should, because most of the moments a haircut gets seen aren't the mirror. They're candid from the side in passing, and a cut that only works head-on quietly stops working the moment someone catches you from an angle you didn't plan for. So here's the swap. Before, hair that billows outward past the shoulders, adding width right at eye level and swallowing the lower half of the face. After, a curved bob with a defined diagonal line that narrows the silhouette, lifts the eye toward the cheekbones, and lets the wave show through textured ends instead of stiff, blunt ones. Now I'll admit something. The next cut is the one I resisted longest, because I assumed it would only work on straight hair. I was wrong about that too, and once you see why, you'll probably want to book it before you even finish watching. Part 3. The blunt fringe lob that reframes your whole face. Confession time. I avoided fringe for over a decade because I assumed it would fight my wave and frizz within a day. I was wrong, and so are most women who've written off fringe for the same reason. The real issue was never the wave. It was the wrong kind of fringe being recommended for thick hair in the first place. Usually something wispy, and wispy fringe on thick wavy hair just doesn't hold. It separates into strands and looks unfinished by noon. The forehead is one of the first places that visibly shows the years, not because anything's wrong with it, but because it's the widest expanse of bare skin on the face, and bare, unbroken expanse is exactly what makes fine lines and forehead height more noticeable. Covering none of it isn't more youthful. It's just more exposed. The fix isn't a wispy fringe, it's a blunt curved fringe cut specifically for thick texture, paired with an lob-length cut overall. Ask for a curved, slightly heavier fringe that schemes just above the brow. Cut with enough density to hold its shape on thick hair, blended into face-framing pieces at the temples. The blunt weight is what makes it work on you specifically. Thin feathered fringe needs fine hair to hold its shape, but thick wavy hair actually needs that extra density in the fringe to keep it from splitting apart throughout the day. What this fringe does is genuinely simple once you see it. It shortens the visual distance across the forehead, which shortens the whole face by proportion. A face that reads as slightly longer than balanced tends to read as more tired, more drawn. And a curved fringe interrupts that length exactly where it's needed, without ever touching the eyes or looking severe. Paired with lob length through the rest, the whole cut works as one shape instead of two separate decisions, front and back finally talking to each other. The snapback on this one tends to surprise women the most because it's not about the hair at all, it's the eyes. Once a curved fringe frames the top of the face, the eyes become the immediate focal point the second someone looks at you, before anything else registers. Women tell me people start saying, "Your eyes look so bright," within days of this cut, and it's not new makeup, it's not new lighting. It's that the fringe is quietly doing what a good frame does for a painting, directing attention exactly where you want it. On thick wavy hair, the fringe does need a small amount of upkeep that straight-haired fringe doesn't. A light product worked through just the fringe section in the morning keeps it from puffing outward with the rest of the wave pattern. That's a small trade for what it gives back. And if you're worried about the growing out phase, a curved, blunt fringe on thick hair grows into soft face framing pieces far more gracefully than a wispy fringe does, because there's enough density in it the whole way through the growth cycle to keep shaping the face instead of just hanging limp. So here's the swap. Before, a fully bare forehead with hair pulled back, exposing the widest stretch of skin on the face and drawing the eye to length rather than features. After, a curved blunt fringe that shortens the visual line of the forehead, frames the eyes directly, and finally holds its shape on thick, wavy texture instead of splitting apart by midday. I almost left this next one out of the video entirely, because it sounds too simple to matter this much. But it might be the single easiest change on this whole list, and the one with the least excuse not to try it. Part 4. The side-swept layers that undo a tired middle part. Here's something worth admitting out loud. A lot of us have worn the exact same part in our hair since our 20s, and never once questioned whether it still suits us. I hadn't, until a stylist pointed out that a dead center part on thick wavy hair does something most of us have never clocked. It splits the visual weight of the hair evenly on both sides, which sounds neutral, but actually flattens the whole face by giving it no asymmetry to catch the eye at all. A face with zero asymmetry in the hair reads as static, almost frozen, and static is one of those subtle cues our brains associate with age before we consciously notice why. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. But it's there every single time you look in the mirror with that centered part. The fix is a deep side part paired with soft, side-swept layers cut to fall diagonally across the brow line. Ask your stylist for a deep side part with layers cut to sweep diagonally across the forehead, longer on one side, shorter on the other, blended so it moves naturally with wave. This isn't about covering anything up. It's about giving the hair one dominant, intentional direction instead of two mirrored, static halves. Wavy hair actually holds a deep side part exceptionally well, better in many cases than straight hair does, because the natural bend in the strand helps the part stay put through the day instead of sliding back to center the way fine straight hair often does. Once the part shifts, the whole volume of the hair shifts with it. More lift happens naturally on the heavier side, and that lift alone can visibly open up the eye on that side of the face. The snapback result here tends to be the fastest of any cut on this list, because it requires no growing out, no committing to a dramatically different length. Some women change nothing but the part and the way the front pieces are angled, and the shift in how they're perceived happens the same day. The asymmetry gives the face something to read as alive and directional instead of flat and centered. And that's a shift people register instantly even if they can't say exactly why. There's a small technical point worth knowing. A deep side part paired with side-swept layers needs slightly more length left at the front than a centered style does. So ask your stylist to leave a bit extra there specifically, rather than cutting the front pieces to match a length you'd use with a center part. If they cut it too short for the side-swept direction, the layers won't have enough to actually sweep. They'll just sit there, and you'll lose the whole effect this cut is built around. So here's the swap. Before, a dead center part with hair falling in two flat, mirrored halves, giving the face nothing asymmetrical to catch the eye. After, a deep side part with diagonal, side-swept layers that lift one side, sweep across the brow, and finally give the face a sense of direction and movement instead of static symmetry. There's one haircut left, and it's the one I get asked about more than any other cut on this entire channel, because it solves the problem almost every woman with thick, wavy hair swears is unsolvable. Part 5. The layered lob that finally tames unmanageable thick hair. I want to say this plainly. My hair is just too thick to manage, is something I've heard from more women than almost any other complaint about hair after 50. And it's almost never actually true. What's usually true is that the hair has too much length carrying too much weight with not nearly enough internal layering to let that weight distribute itself. So every single day feels like a fight against hair that won't cooperate, when really it's a cut that was never built for the texture underneath it. Long, heavy, underlayered thick wavy hair does something specific as the day goes on. It drops. The wave pattern that looked full and defined in the morning gets pulled straight by its own weight by afternoon. And what started as movement ends up as flat, tired-looking strands by evening. That drop is exhausting to fight daily, and most women assume it's a product problem when it's actually a cutting problem. The fix is a layered lob cut to collarbone or just above, with layers built internally rather than just at the ends. Ask your stylist for a lob at collarbone length, with internal layers cut throughout the interior to remove weight, keeping the outer perimeter for shape. The distinction matters enormously here. Internal layering thins the hair from the inside out, which lets the wave pattern hold its shape all day, while the outer line stays intact enough to keep the cut looking finished rather than choppy. This is the cut that finally makes thick wavy hair feel light in your hands instead of heavy on your head, because the weight has been removed from inside the hair rather than chopped off the bottom. The wave keeps its bounce from morning through evening instead of collapsing by 3 p.m. And because the length lands at the collarbone, it sits at one of the most universally flattering points for framing a jawline. Not so short that it exposes every angle, not so long that it drags the whole face downward. The snapback moment with this cut is almost always about time, not compliments. Women tell me their morning routine gets dramatically shorter because the hair simply does more of the work on its own. Wave that's properly layered internally doesn't need to be fought into shape with product and heat every single morning. It falls the way it's cut to fall, which means less effort produces a more polished result than the old routine ever did, heavy hair and all. If your stylist is unfamiliar with internal layering specifically, a helpful way to describe it is asking them to remove weight from the underside, not the perimeter. That phrase tends to translate clearly, because it tells them exactly where the layering needs to happen versus where the shape needs to stay intact. Get this wrong and you end up with a choppy outer edge instead of a soft, bouncing wave. Get it right and thick hair finally stops feeling like something you're managing and starts feeling like something that's simply working for you. So here's the swap. Before, long, heavy, underlayered hair that starts the day with bounce and drops flat by afternoon under its own weight. After, a layered lob at collarbone length with internal layering that keeps the wave alive all day, frames the jawline, and cuts real time out of the morning routine. Look at what you know now that you didn't 20 minutes ago. 5 specific cuts, 5 specific reasons they work on thick, wavy hair. And not one of them requires fighting your natural texture to get there. That's the real secret nobody says out loud. The goal was never taming your hair into submission. It was finally cutting it to work with what it's already doing. Which of these 5 surprised you the most? Or which one matches the exact mistake you've been making without realizing it? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Next week I'm covering the color mistakes that quietly age thick wavy hair the same way the wrong cut does, so keep an eye out for that. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.